Tonight's big story is another immigration counter delay story comes to light. This time, a woman was not allowed to board her flight for failing to present birth certificates to show her relationship to her sponsor. But the Bureau of Immigration says the passenger had multiple red flags. We'll discuss this later on with BI spokesperson Dana Sandoval later on in the show.
The onset of El Nino has just begun, but this early, over 500,000 Maynilad customers will be experiencing water interruptions starting this week as the supply from the Angat Dam falls short.
And the government will investigate the proliferation of fake medicine ads, which left unaddressed could encourage the public into buying counterfeit products.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Maricel Halili.
And I'm Sean Yao.
All right, another issue for the Immigration Bureau to deal with, which came to light over the weekend. Did you guys hear about this?
I know, I was so surprised. I mean, how many birth certificates and to what degree do we need to bring apart from yearbooks?
Apparently 10.
Apparently
10 birth certificates. Sabi dun sa
Okay,
immigration
well, the story
officer.
this time around is there was a woman whose story went viral because she said she wasn't allowed to board her flight to Taiwan because she wasn't able to present birth certificates to show her relationship to her sponsor.
And I believe this is also the second time that she has tried to go to Taiwan. The first time around, hinanapan siya ng even more papeles. Like, kailangan daw may picture with the sponsor to prove that they're really friends or related and that they have a relationship. And then this time around, I feel like, I heard that she also was offloaded from her flight.
So bottom line, she got offloaded. So we'll
But
try
I
to find
wonder
out.
if there's a need, or is it a requirement for the sponsor to be a relative of the one who's traveling?
No, we'll have to
Ay,
ask
good
that
question.
later on when we
That's a
talk
good
to
question.
the Bureau of Immigration. But back to the story now, despite all this, the Immigration Bureau has issued a statement explaining the matter. According to the BI, the traveler who initially attempted to depart late last month claimed that she is traveling to Taiwan to visit a distant relative. However, the immigration officer noted that during the assessment, there was mention of possible work in Taiwan. The said traveler also was unable to establish her relationship with her sponsor and had numerous inconsistencies when asked about basic details about that sponsor.
Speaking on One Balita Weekend, Immigration Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Babulak explained that the agency was only following its memorandum circular. There it is stated that an individual should have an affidavit of support certified by the consulate and they should be a fourth-degree relative of the inviter or invitee.
Sunod-sunod po tayo sa memorandum circular. At doon po nakasaad na kung ang nag-imbita sa iyo ay dapat mayroon siyang affidavit of support na sinertify po yan ng konsulado at dapat po siya ay fourth degree na relation sa nag-iimbita at iniimbitahan. Kaya tinitingnan po natin yan.
All right, let's try to break down this matter further. We have with us on the line immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval. Good evening, Dana. Welcome to the Big Story. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so you heard us discussing what happened with that traveler to Taiwan.
Yes.
What went wrong here? Let's hear your side of the story.
Yes, actually, when we saw the initial report on the matter, we saw the commissioner saw that the passenger's purpose really did not match the documents that she was showing. So when she presented herself for immigration inspection, she claimed that she was a tourist bound to Taiwan to visit her distant relative. But during the interview, the officer saw, maybe I won't be going into particulars of this in respect to the her data privacy, but the immigration officer saw evidence that she is planning to work abroad.
All right, Dana, you know, we have traveled several times. I personally
Yes.
have not experienced any such questioning that was a little bit too intense. I did not have to present, 10 birth certificates or my yearbook. But we would like to know, is this usual? What exactly triggered it without giving away too much information? What triggers a lengthy questioning and for the immigration officer to be asking for so many requirements? Because as a traveler, we all know, especially going to Taiwan, it's visa-free. So, saan naggagaling tong mga tanong na to?
Yeah, I think there's already a misconception that everyone has to go through lengthy interrogation process or so there are required so many documents. But the thing is, not everyone is being asked additional questions. Majority of those, I think maybe 98 or 99% of international travelers don't get asked so many questions because what immigration officers look out for are red flags. Red flags meaning inconsistencies under documentation and under purpose of travel. If the immigration officer detects that there is a disconnect in that, say for example in this case, the passenger was going out of the country as a tourist, but the actual intent is different from that, then that is the trigger for the immigration officer to ask further questions to understand the scenario, to see the entire picture of the circumstances of the travel.
Okay, so Dana, just to be clear, for those who are planning to travel abroad, what should we bring? What are the requirements that we should present to the immigration officers?
Yes, for legitimate tourists, regular tourists, you don't need to worry. There are no further questionings. All you need to present is your passport. It has to be valid for at least 6 months. Your round-trip ticket back to the Philippines, and your visa, if you are required a visa in the country of destination. And that's it. Only those who the immigration officers see have red flags or inconsistencies in their statements are subjected to secondary inspection, and that's just a small percentage of the traveling public.
Okay, so there's no need to bring your bank certificate or statement of account.
No need for anything, for any other supporting document, unless this might be part of your story. Say, for example, you are being sent by your company for a business trip or maybe a convention. So most of the time, you would have all the documents for that convention. But basically, what the basic things that you need to show are the 3 things that I mentioned earlier.
What about if you're a first-time traveler? I can see some commentary online from people who've never left the country before, and they're a bit worried na pagdating nila sa immigration counter, they might get questioned because they've never gone overseas before. Any advice?
There's no need to worry if we are legitimate tourists, and everyone started out as a first-time traveler. So most of those who have traveled already can recall that during their first time, it doesn't really automatically send you to the secondary inspection just because you're a first-time traveler. Of course, the immigration officer may ask an additional 1 or 2 questions, but that's it. If you're a legitimate traveler, then there's nothing to worry about. You just have to be truthful and just prepare your documents. Nothing to worry about.
Right, Dana, we just wanted to clarify, of course, I'm sure this has not escaped your attention, the long lines in immigration counters. And I'm talking about palabas, outbound travelers. Yes. Usually, you don't question outbound travelers so hard or so intensely. You mentioned a lot of red flags. It gives me the idea that baka human trafficking is what you're looking out for. Does that have anything to do with the delay or the holdups at immigration counters outward or outbound? Because lines have been getting long and these stories have been coming out a lot of late.
I don't think they're related because the long lines really is a result of the transfer of many of the flights from Terminal 2 to Terminal 3 and Terminal 1, and of course the resumption of international travel right after COVID. So really, revenge travel is real. Everyone wants to go out of the country. So these stories, maybe it's a coincidence that these stories are surfacing, but we have been implementing the same policy since, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2014 or 2015. It's the same policy ever since our government, our national government, took a stand against human trafficking. And we have actually been cited by the U.S. government because of this, being one of the pioneers in the Southeast Asian region. So it's I think when it comes to the long lines, we have already partnered with the airport authorities because we have requested for a bigger immigration area. And we're really thankful that they have recently expanded it, and they have committed to further expand the immigration area to allow us to add more counters, because the problem right now is there are not enough counters for us to put our immigration officers. So if we are able to add more counters, then more immigration officers can be deployed to process the traveling public.
Right, Dana, one last quick follow-up. A lot of people have missed their flight, or at least several travelers that we've heard about. They have missed their flights because of the secondary line of questioning from immigration. When that happens, if you feel like, for example, you missed your flight because of this, are you guys at all liable for helping rebook or making further travel arrangements? And also, if you feel like you have been wrongfully questioned, leading you maybe to miss your flight or whatnot, who can we complain to?
Yes, if you have been wrongfully questioned, if you feel like you have been wrongfully questioned, or you encounter any unnecessary actions, maybe of our immigration officers, we have our immigration supervisors assigned at the airport. So all terminals have immigration supervisors. So you can escalate immediately the concern to the supervisor. If not to the supervisor, then you can submit your request or your concern to the commissioner through our main office. Or we also have our helpline page, our helpline Facebook page. It's facebook.com/immigration.helpline.ph. You can send your concern there, and it goes directly to the table of the commissioner, so it can be addressed properly. If there needs to be, if the immigration officer is seen to have committed maybe a violation or did not do his job well, then a sanction will be recommended against that officer.
All right, we thank you so much for shedding light on the matter. Immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval.
Up next, igib muna, thousands of Maynilad customers brace for 9-hour-long service interruptions. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You're watching The Big Story here in One News. Maynilad customers are bracing for water interruptions starting this week. Over the weekend, water supply at the Angat Dam fell below the minimum operating level of 180 meters. Today, it's at 179.23 meters. With this, water allocation for concessionaires automatically go down to 48 cubic meters per second.
Several barangays in Quezon City, Manila, Caloocan, Malabon, Navotas, and Valenzuela will be experiencing water interruptions from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. For those living far away from service areas, service interruptions could last for another 2 hours. West Zone concessionaire Maynilad still can't say how long the interruptions will last. But in their defense, it will not be as bad as the 14 to 16-hour water interruptions back in April.
And hopefully, ito pong gagawin nating interruption ay mas mapaiksi pa natin sa actual implementation. Talaga ang iniiwasan namin mangyari na merong single customer na 24 hours siyang walang tubig.
Alright, so we were checking our phones trying to look for the lowest level of the Angat Dam, and what we have come up with was since July of 2010, the lowest recorded level at the Angat Dam is 157.5 meters. So, as Reg was
So it's
pointing
about
out,
20
meters
or so. We're about 20 or so meters away from that. But still, multiple hours of water interruptions is not fun for anyone.
And so it's like 7
Kahit na
p.m. to
hindi
like
siya-
4 a.m. or even
Yeah.
6 a.m. if
Kahit
you're a bit
hindi siya
further.
16 hours, I mean, you know.
Yes, and the thing is, nasa weak El Nino pa lang tayo.
Oh, yes.
So,
that's a great
by
point. Yeah.
come November, December, and January, the probability of us na malagay sa criteria na moderate El Nino
Yes.
Is very high.
Very high.
Until the first
21
quarter
to
of next year.
60%,
Oh, my
according to
goodness.
Pag-asa.
That is true.
And that's what's worrisome.
So they have already started like attempting some mitigating measures. First, my favorite one was they got the Dumagat tribe to dance. I think we have videos of this. They were doing a rain dance along the viewing deck of the Angat Dam earlier. I think over the
We
weekend.
need
There we
rain.
go.
There.
We need rain. So
need
this is the
rain.
first start. And we have been asking Pag-asa. They said they are ready to do cloud seeding operations. But, you know, it's weird that it has been raining, but it has not at all been affecting the water level at the dam positively.
Because it hasn't been raining consistently, I think.
Which
Hindi
is
siya-
the hallmark of the
right. Which is you know, typically in June you would see already consistent days of rain, right? But in any case.
In any case, how are residents and business owners preparing for this water shortage? Let's bring in Brian Basa to fill us in. Go ahead, Brian.
Paishan residents in different parts of Metro Manila know the drill. We went around to check in on their preparations. We saw them using drums, pails, and practically anything that can hold water. Some food establishments are also investing in plastic utensils to save up on washing. Others are making use of water tankers to keep their businesses afloat. Now, water officials say service cuts could be postponed if there is enough rainfall to augment water supply. But Pag-asa says this could only happen if a tropical cyclone enters the Philippine area of responsibility. The State Weather Bureau adds the localized thunderstorms we're experiencing now just won't cut it. Back to you.
All right, thank you for that update, Brian Basa.
It's good news for everybody. Meralco consumers can look forward to a relief in their electric bills this month as the company announces a reduction in power rates due to lower generation charges. Meralco said it lowered power rates to consumers by at least 72 centavos per kilowatt hour. This would translate to about 144 peso decrease in the total electricity bill of customers consuming 200 kilowatt per hour. The power company attributed these to several factors, including the reductions on generation charge, as well as the lower demand from the wholesale electricity spot market or WESM. But the electric company warns that El Nino could affect power rates. However, there are still no indications on upward pressure as supplies are so far sufficient.
The biggest driver of the reduction was the wholesale electricity spot market or WESM with an energy share of 15%. Yung pagbaba po niya ay nasa 2 pesos and 66 centavos rounding it off. IPPs o yung pong aming mga legacy contracts, 37% po yung energy share, 47 centavos po rounded off ang reduction.
Is the country's debt still manageable? It's a big question. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know what to think. My calculator doesn't even have
Yeah,
like that many zeros.
Okay, for the
Trillions.
record, as of the end of May, we're at 14.1 trillion pesos now.
Ako mas concerned ako sa possible tax adjustment to pay our
Exactly.
debts.
Exactly.
Yan talaga, dyan tayo aaray.
Exactly.
No? Kahit kulang yung space sa calculator natin. Sure, masararamdaman natin.
Okay, I
yung
know I asked
taxes.
you guys, but I don't really care about your opinions because only one man's opinion counts, and that is Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno, who says while the outstanding debt may exceed the 14.63 trillion pesos assumption, debt to GDP ratio remains manageable.
It is at 60.9%.
At his weekly press briefing, Diokno said that the right metric for assessing debt is its proportion to economic output. Diokno said that pre-pandemic, the debt to GDP ratio was around 39%. Now, the finance chief added that the ratio was projected to range between 60 and 61% by year-end, but they are targeting to cut it down to 51% by 2028. Economic managers, meanwhile, are aiming to achieve 6 to 7% economic growth for this year. Now, as for the economy, it's expected to grow by 6.5 to 8% between 2024 to 2028.
It's still manageable. The number, the debt to GDP ratio, as you know, before the crisis, around 39, no? And then it went up because we had to borrow money for the medicine, etc. Plus revenues went down. It's not bad to borrow money. Kung yung pera, gagamitin mo pang palagay mo sa business. And we are using the money for infrastructure. Also, welfare, productivity enhancing measures like improvement of teacher education.
How exactly does government plan on lowering the debt to GDP ratio? Let's find out from Camille Samonte. Camille, go ahead.
Masete Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council has approved several economic reforms to be implemented by the administration. Among them are the Public-Private Partnerships Bill and reforms in real property valuation and assessment. Additionally, the establishment of a sustainable pension framework for the military and uniformed personnel, an ease of paying taxes bill, and income classification for local government units are also part of the initiatives. In addition to those proposed measures, the DOF also aims to impose taxes on single-use plastic bags and impose a value-added tax on digital transactions. Currently, the proposed bills are still being reviewed by the Senate committee. Mase?
Thank you, Camille Samonte.
After the break, the public is being advised to watch out for diseases that could emerge during the El Nino. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Now, aside from the looming impact of El Nino and water supply, the public is being advised to take measures this time regarding health, as certain diseases may become prevalent this season. DOH Undersecretary Eric Tayag said that dengue cases are likely to occur throughout the dry El Nino season. Tayag explained that collected water, if left uncovered, could become one of the breeding places for mosquitoes. As of June 24, the agency logged a total of 67,000 cases of dengue. Most of these were from Calabarzon, Central Luzon, and the National Capital Region. Now, aside from this, the Health Department also warned the public against bacterial diseases from drinking contaminated water.
Lagyan niyo po ng cover po yun para na sa ganun, walang dumadapong mga lamok po yun. At kung maglilinis kayo ng container, hindi lang tinatapon niyo yung tubig, pati yung gilid po noon, lilinisin nyo kasi ang hindi nyo alam, tinapon nyo lang yung tubig. Yan po ay paglalagakan din ng itlog. Yan po ang hinahanap ng lamok. Hindi lang yung sa labas ng bahay, pati yung sa loob ng bahay.
What other problems should the public be concerned about during El Nino? Let's find out from Marian Enriquez. Marian, go ahead.
Yes, Regina, aside from diseases, the DOH said they're also looking into possible cases of malnutrition that could severely affect the country. The Health Department explained that during El Nino, food production is feeble and that this could result to food inflation. To address these, the DOH said it will order a creation for a disaster program to prepare for hazards during El Nino. Regina.
All right, thanks for that update, Marian Enriquez.
Ingat po tayo sa mga fake endorsements ng unregistered na gamot at supplements. Marami siya sa mga social media using the face of well-respected doctors.
Dr. Tony Leachon.
Oh,
Nakikita
wow.
natin. Ayan, no?
Yes.
Yeah, ang dami nakikita ko. Yung mga ads, kahit pag nagbabasa ka ng news website, sometimes these kinds of ads hit you.
I guess because it's so easy. You just take a photo from a well-known person and then
Yes.
slap it on the ad.
Yeah.
Madalas ko nakikita pala yung sa mga Facebook yung pampababa ng cholesterol.
Naku.
Using the face of Dr. Willie Ong.
Kasi he's a cardiologist.
Yes, he is. Given that this is a matter of public health concern, Senator Jinggoy Estrada has filed a resolution calling to investigate these fake online advertisements. The Department of Health is likewise looking into the matter.
I think I will instruct the head of FDA, Sam Sakate, to actually coordinate with the NBI to really get to the bottom of this.
Now, there are two things to look at here: the public being fooled and the supposed endorser forced to be the face of a counterfeit product. Mobile journalist Yeda Pascual got to talk to one of them, Dr. Tony Leachon. Let's see what he had to say. Go ahead, Yeda.
Dr. Tony Leachon has made it a point to actively fact-check and expose fake online ads using his name. We have to note that he was once a COVID-19 task force advisor, kaya naman talagang matunog na ang pangalan niya pagdating dito sa medisina. He and Doc Willie Ong have already filed cases before the NBI Cybercrime Division. He insists that addressing this issue would take a whole-of-government approach. For the meantime, the public is being advised to check before buying medicines online and make sure they are FDA approved. And if you can, consult and verify with a doctor first. Reg?
Thanks for that update, mobile journalist Yeda Pascual.
Right, before we go, time now for a big picture for tonight. And what you're looking at is the home of the revered Black Nazarene statue, the Quiapo Church in Manila, which was recently declared as a national shrine. In their 126th plenary assembly in Aklan Province on Sunday, the CBCP, or Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, approved Manila Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advinculo's petition to make the church the country's 29th national shrine. The CBCP said it gave the Quiapo Church the title National Shrine of the Black Nazarene. Sakto lang, di ba yun naman talaga yung tawag ko sa kanya in my head eh? Oo. Kung nasan yung Nazareno.
Yes.
And I'm impressed. We have 29 national shrines pala. I didn't know that in the country. Yeah, which is
I was thinking there would be more because we're so Catholic.
Roman Catholic.
That is true. But to be declared a national shrine, of course, is a long process. So for me, it's like, wow, that's pretty impressive that we have 29.
It is. And I'm sure for all the devotees of the Nazareno, they're so happy to hear this.
Correct.
And that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you. Good night.